Hello, welcome to GeekyHiJynx, home of the Mischief Makers, and welcome to my weekly watches. Now today, I'm going to be combining week 1 and week 2 of October because I recorded week 1 the other day, my audio was corrupted, so now I've got to do it all over again. Which isn't a problem, but it was at the time, but I don't mind doing it again because I like making videos. So I've got my little handy dandy notebook with the things I watched and other stuff I have in there, including all the films I haven't watched this month, bad times. But this is what I watched this month. So it's a combination of the movies, the games I'm playing, and the TV shows I'm watching. And I watched a fair decent amount, been pretty busy the last couple of weeks, hence the lack of videos. But I managed to get a good amount in there. So I'm going to start with the TV shows I'm watching, shall we? And before I begin, if this is your first time to my channel, make sure to like and subscribe. So starting with the TV shows, I am watching at the moment 101 Greatest Scariest Moments on Shudder, and it's pretty cool. I like any of these top movie moments. I couldn't think, I went really blank there for a second. But it's basically 101, counting down from 101 obviously, of the scariest moments on Shudder. Some of them I don't really agree with. And by the way, this is a new microphone. Random segue. But I'm getting used to it. So if you hear heavy breathing or me gulping, I'm trying to work out the gain and stuff, how to use it. So I do apologize if that drives you nuts. So I'm doing my best to hold back the gulping. But back to the 101 scary moments by Shudder. I like it because it's showing me films I haven't seen before. Like one of the films on my list is a movie that I haven't watched, and I watched it last week. And whenever I got to a film, I was like, oh, I've heard about this, but I don't want to see it, I would skip. So it's good for that reason, but it's just a chilled TV show to put on while you're editing or winding down, so definitely check it out. My god, it's hot in here, and I'm wearing a hat. Wow, it's October, alright? In the UK, what's going on with the weather these days? It's driving me nuts. Now, at the end of September, I watched the whole of the Dharma TV show. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really accurate... I have a text message, and that was a Jurassic Park T-Rex roar. But as I was saying, I watched all of the Dharma TV show, and after that, I fancied watching more serial killer stuff. You know how you fall into that little rabbit hole of similar content. So I watched the Bundy tapes and Night Stalker. I watched loads of those because they're interesting to me, but also horrifying. But I was enjoying the court case aspect of it, which leads me to my first film of the week, which was The Runaway Jury, and that was a film that came out in 2004, starring, this is all top of my head by the way, I should have really written more things down than the film name, but The Runaway Jury starred Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, Rachel Weisz, John Cusack, and many more people you probably recognize. And it's a very under the radar film, not the greatest film going, but it's like a guilty pleasure film that I like watching because I like courtroom dramas. So if you like I'll talk to you about what if I talk to you about what the film is about briefly, so maybe you're interested to go watch it. But essentially, it's about a woman whose husband gets shot while at work by a lone gunman, a crazy person just went into his office, disgruntled employee, killed this man and some others. And the wife, a few years later, wants to take the gun company that was very loose for its rules and selling methods, that ended up handing a gun to this person, which was bought off the streets, and ended up killing all these people. So she's taken this gun company to court. And Dustin Hoffman is her lawyer, and he's gonna try it's her versus the gun company. Gene Hackman plays someone who's behind the scenes working for the gun company to select the jury and make sure they have dirt on them so they can get the result they want, so the gun company can win. And John Cusack and Rachel Weisz are aware of Gene Hackman's tactics, and they're doing their best to try and make it a fair trial. And it's really good because it's got a twists and turns, really good acting. It's just a good watch. It's not going to blow your brain. It's not going to win any, well, it didn't win any awards. But if you just like a good courtroom drama with some really good actors, and Gene Hackman doesn't act anymore, so any opportunity to watch him is great. And I would give Runaway Jury about 3 out of 5 Geeky Coins. And from there, I was still in the mood for a courtroom drama, so I wanted to watch a classic. As with Xanthi, I was like, there's one film you haven't watched, and it's a film that everyone should watch at least once, but actually it should be a staple film to watch, and it's A Time to Kill, with Samuel Jackson, Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock. There's a few others in there, but I've forgotten who they are. Kevin Spacey, who whenever he appears in the film, I'm just like, why do I feel guilty for watching this all of a sudden? But I won't take his personal life and let ruin classic films like Seven and Usual Suspects and Time to Kill. And if you haven't seen A Time to Kill, stop what you're doing right now, pause this and go and watch it right now, because it's a great film. Essentially, it's set in the deep south in America, and I think set in the 80s, I think it's the late 80s this film's set. I had to breathe there for a second because I wasn't breathing. It's an Irish thing. I talk so fast I forget to breathe. But essentially, it's deep south, a lot of racism still about, and this little girl has gone to the grocery store to get some groceries for her dad, and on the way back from this store, these two horrible white dudes, because that's pretty much what they are, like it's a description of what they are, horrible racists as well, they end up doing some terrible things to this little girl. You can probably guess, but it's a lot worse when you actually describe it in the film, but it's not nice at all. Samuel Jackson finds his daughter, or comes home because his wife's called him. He's rushed home, seen the state of his daughter. His family are devastated, and then he finds out, because Matthew McConaughey is like the local lawyer that helped Samuel Jackson's brother in a previous trial at some point in time, and he asked him, what are the chances that these two guys will walk free? And he was like, there's a good chance they'll do minimal time. So Samuel Jackson's like, all right. And he grabs a machine gun and he waits in this courthouse and he just blasts them to pieces. Kills them. Like, and when I thought it was a shotgun from when I watched this film. He was just like, bah, 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 bah. And I was just like, oh my god, he wants them dead. Like, he doesn't want them hurt. He wants them annihilated. And essentially, he now faces the gas chamber. So it's him versus who's he versing again? Like the family of these people. So he's like literally, the jury's trying to decide whether he's guilty. And if he's guilty, he's going to the gas chamber. Could he plead insanity in that moment in time, or could he get off completely? And that's what the film's essentially about. Matthew McConaughey then defends him in court. Sandra Bullock trying to help them in their defense case, and then you got some nefarious characters, including the Ku Klux Klan, trying to jeopardize everything. And it's a very powerful film with some extremely good dialogue, a great delivery of one line, which I won't repeat, but if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about, with Samuel Jackson. And it's just an excellent film, a film that I would watch maybe every 10 years, because it's like a book. You don't read them back to back, but every now and then you might pick it up, watch it again. And yeah, for me, Time to Kill gets 5 out of 5 Geeky Coins. And now onto my first horror, which I found through the Shudder Scariest Moments. That's called Autopsy of Jane Doe. A film I've seen on Netflix or advertised on various streaming sites, and I just thought, oh, it's one of these autopsy of or exorcism of films, and I was like, I'm alright. But it was on this list compiled by Shudder, watched it, and it was pretty good, really, really good. Like it's like a one-off movie. Watch it once, you won't watch it again, because it's one of those, you know, once everything's been revealed, there's not much more you can, like with Hereditary, you can watch that over and over again, see different things. Autopsy of Jane Doe, yeah, it's like a one-time watch, good. But yeah, you wouldn't watch it more than that. But essentially the film is about a dad and son who run a autopsy forensic place. So the police in the beginning of the film find this crime scene. Everyone's dead, but they find this pristine body in the basement. So they send it to the forensics, the autopsy people. I'm so bad with like phrasing the right terminology, but she's pristine. Who is she? So they give her obviously the name Jane Doe, so they can find her identity. And as they're doing the autopsy, things aren't adding up. So for example, they open her up and she's got stab wounds in her kidneys, but she has no external wounds. How did that happen? Her lungs are burnt to a cinder, but she's not burnt or has any like burnt tissue. How did that happen? And as they cut her up and do more mysteries are revealed, and it all builds this climax, which I won't ruin. But it's good. Like, I think for me, I wanted something a bit more. It felt a bit short. Like they could have done a bit more, delved into a few more things, explaining a few more things at the end. But yeah, like, decent horror. Definitely check it out. Probably give it about 3 out of 5 Geeky Coins. Now, Xanthi wanted to watch a film. She wanted to choose, and she chose Mr.Harrigans' Phone, which was on Netflix. It's streaming right now. And, yeah, it was a bit all over the place, this one. I knew it was a Stephen King book. Like, I didn't know it was a Stephen King book, but the way it felt, and as soon as I heard the word Maine, I was like, oh, of course, it's Stephen King. Then at the end, it revealed it was a short story by him, and I was like, I knew this. But essentially, Donald Sutherland's in this. I thought he was dead, because I literally watched Time to Kill. He was in that, and then I watched this, and I was like, hey, but then I was thinking of Kirk Douglas. But yeah, it's Donald Sutherland, still alive. But essentially, he plays the titular character of Mr. Harrigan, and he has a relationship with that boy Billy from It. Don't know his name in real life, but they have a really good relationship. That he meets him as a young boy, his mother's died, he feels lonely, and he finds some sort of pleasure in reading these old stories like Moby Dick. I've literally forgotten every old book that he would learn in English, but he likes to be read these books, and he pays him like a bit of money each year to keep on doing this. He comes around every week, and one day this boy brings him a phone. Like, it's set in the early 2000s when the iPhone just came out, and excuse me for 1 second, my battery's about to run out, and I'm back. So yeah, so essentially he buys him an iPhone, and then unfortunately Mr. Harrigan dies, and he puts the phone he bought him in the casket, but then he starts receiving text messages and calls from Mr. Harrigan, but Mr. Harrigan's dead. And then you got these mysterious deaths that are happening, and Billy, I'm gonna call him Billy, don't know his name, but this boy is like, okay, this person's being a nuisance, make him go away, then they'll die. And he starts thinking, oh my god, I don't want to die, and he's trying to find a way to work out what's going on. And I'll be honest, guys, it's all over the place. Like, the best part of the film is the relationship with Mr. Harrigan and the boy. Once he's dead, the film just loses all direction. What are you, a supernatural film? Is it all coincidence? It goes somewhere, then it stops, and then it goes somewhere over here. It just was directionless, and come the end, I was just kind of thinking, is there a deeper message to this film? Did I miss something? I don't think I did. I just think it was a not great told story by either Stephen King, the director of this film, or a combination of both. Would I recommend you see it? Not really. But it doesn't offer you anything at all. So on that note, I'm going to probably give Mr. Harrigan's Phone 2 out of 5 Geeky Coins. But during the week, I was in a 90s nostalgia mood. I wanted to watch a film I've not watched since I was about 15. And it's Breakdown, starring Kurt Russell. And what a great film. Such a hidden gem of a thriller. No one ever talks about this film, but it's always stored in the membrane. And Xanthi loves thrillers. I was thinking, there's so many good 90s films that no one's really watching or talking about anymore. So I'm kind of reliving them with Xanthi, which is great because she has watched barely any film. She hasn't even watched Wizard of Oz or Grease. But anyway, I thought put on Breakdown. Great film. It's better than half like Netflix and Amazon exclusives you get, and loads of them probably copy from this film. That's the problem. You have a film like this, really good, goes completely under the radar. Someone will think of it and they'll make it into their own film, and everyone raves on it on Lad Bible. This is the most thrilling film of all time. It's like, that's pretty much Breakdown. They copied it. But I'm going off on a little tangent here. But essentially, Kurt Russell and his wife, they're moving from their home, and they're cutting through this really, basically a small town. It's like in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Through that journey, they meet some rude people that think like, you're a city boy. We don't take the kindly to your kind around here. And they're like, okay, no worries, we'll be on our way. And as they travel, their car breaks down, hence the name. And his wife agrees to go with a truck driver they've just met to the next diner so they can ring the mechanics or whatever. And Kurt Russell waits and waits. She doesn't return. He realizes his car's been disconnected, puts it back together, goes to that next diner, and no one knows. Like, his wife's not there. He then meets the same truck driver. He's never met him before. There's a bit of a mystery. What happened to his wife? And this guy is determined. Like, Kurt Russell is always charming in anything he's in. But in this film, you're on the edge of your seat. And there's some situations where you're like, how's he going to get out of this one? And come the end, very satisfying, great little ending. I miss 90s films. Like, films these days are just, they're poo-poo. That's why I'm going back in time and watching these ones. But for me, if you've never watched Breakdown, never heard of it until now, definitely watch it. I think it's about £3.49 to rent on Amazon. You can't get anywhere else. Can't get it anywhere else. You know, there's a funny story. When I'm editing my videos, I realize how like my English is so broken. Sometimes I can speak absolutely perfectly like this, and then I'll go into my like London side where it's like, yeah mate, like, get a couple of water, and he kidnapped his daughter, right? And then I'm like, and then there's a happy day ever after. So yeah, I do apologize if I talk fast and I cut my words up, but why am I apologizing? On to the next film, and Breakdown gets 4.5 out of 5 Geeky Coins. Now, one film I've spoken to Xanthi about, it's the greatest love story ever told, starring my dude Patrick Swayze. That's Ghost. Ghost with, but obviously, Mr. Swayze himself, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg. My favorite love story ever told. And bit of an embarrassing one, this one, because I watched it, and I think I've watched it twice. Both times I cried, because I get emotionally attached to these characters. I love the story. I'm not ashamed to say I cry at films, okay? King Kong and Marley and Me are sad, alright? But with this one, yeah, I just like their characters, and, you know, like they're not like, there's some cheesy moments in this film, don't get me wrong, but their relationship is so real that, like, it kind of reminded me of like me and Xanthi's relationship, where it's very like making each other laugh and taking the mickey out of each other, and you have friends or people you know, and it's very like, not like, they're not super happy like, oh, we're so in love. They're very much in love, but they can take the piss, you know, the perfect kind of relationship. And if no one's seen it, what's wrong with you? It's one of the greatest films ever made. Essentially, Patrick Swayze. You know what my catchphrase should be? Essentially, I've said that about 10 times during this video. But on this particular occasion, this film is about a man called Sam, played by Patrick Swayze, and he has an altercation in the street with a thief, which leaves him dead, and he becomes a ghost. He has unfinished business because his death may have been a murder, and he has to protect his girlfriend Molly, played by Demi Moore, and he does so by seeking out a psychic who can see Sam. So she actually has a gift, but she was faking it the entire time, and they work together. They've got great chemistry, and essentially they work out what happened to him, why he died, and yeah, and it culminates in one of the saddest scenes in my entire life. And I was sitting there with Xanthi, and I could feel my cheeks like tensing, and I could feel my bottom lip going, and I could feel my eyes getting watery, and I was like, no. And I was doing everything I could. I was looking at my drink. I was making, I'll get a cup of tea quick, trying to compose myself. And come that last damn scene, I cried in front of Xanthi for the first time, and she loved every moment. She thought it was like the biggest moment in our relationship. Oh my God, this is a weak moment for you. Don't hide behind the pillow. Like, be proud, like a real man can cry. And I'm like, just let me. I've got a pillow over my face. I'm like, just let me compose myself. Please let me go. I was right after about 2 days, but yeah, she really liked that film because it's not what you think. If you've never seen Ghost, make sure it's on a a list. Watch it at Christmas randomly. I don't know why it works well with Christmas, but that's when I first watched it as a kid. But Ghost gets 5 out of 5 Geeky Coins because it's the greatest film ever made. I'm going to blitz through some other films really quick. One more film actually, now think about it. Actually, there's 2. I watched Infinity War. Yeah, I haven't got to say much about that. Everyone's seen Infinity War. It's a great film. It's a 5 out of 5 out of Geeky Coins. I've got this TV here, calibrated it. I want to see what it looked like. You know when you test the scene? Like for me, if you get a new sound system, you test Jurassic Park scene when the T-Rex breaks out to get the best sound. Infinity War or Civil War are like my go-tos for some strange reason. I know there's another film that recommends to and you can just Google it. Anyway, I go off like I forget I'm talking to you and oh my god, my camera about to stop recording. Stupid cameras only record for 30 minutes, but luckily I just caught it in like the last 30 seconds and I was like, nah. But yeah, I was going off tangent talking about which film you should watch to test your audio quality. But yeah, I watched Infinity War. I was meant to watch it for 5 minutes. Watched the whole thing. That's great. What else did I watch? The last film I watched in the week, at the end of the second week, was Halloween Ends. I will not talk about that film because it doesn't deserve it anymore. In fact, I've got a review up for that, which I posted a couple of days ago. It's in the link. I've literally forgotten how YouTube works. I put the link in the description below. There'll be a title card at the end. But check out my review to what I think. Judging by the thumbnail, I loved it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like other TV shows I forgot to mention was The Watcher on Netflix. Not really feeling it. It's like basically a true story about this couple and their family that move into this area, and there's someone watching them, sending them creepy notes. It hasn't engaged me yet. If anyone's watched the whole thing, let me know if it's worth like going with, because I wasn't feeling like I wanted to binge it. Unlike The Midnight Club, which I love, also on Netflix, which Mike Flanagan is just a genius. I love that guy. Midnight Club is definitely something you should check out if you like your it's like anthology kind of thing, but not an anthology because it's all one story. But it's really good. I'm not gonna butcher it. Just take my word for it. Watch Midnight Club. Just practice the microphone. And game I'm playing is Resident Evil 8. I'm doing uploads of me playing that game. I've got one up at the moment. I've recorded a second one. I've got 2 more to edit. Meaning I've got a lot to do with that one, but I'm trying to keep them out 2 videos a week. So because there's loads of horror games coming out in the next couple of months, so I want to be playing those too. And I've got an interesting way to end this video. It's called
Give me a film to watch.
And what that basically means is give me a film to watch. So during my weekly watches, in the comments, leave me a film that you recommend to watch. So one I may have seen, I'll watch it again. Maybe you want to see what I think of it. Or a brand new film that you've just watched that I've never mentioned and you want me to see it and give my opinion on it. So in the comments, let me know what film you want me to watch. I'll put it in a little bowl. I'll pick it out like today and I'll watch a film this week, talk about it the following week, and in each video in the comments I'll keep doing the same to make this fun. But essentially guys, that is my it's warm in here. Dear me. Like you can probably see the glistening of the sweat. But on that sexy note, that is my weekly update, weekly watches, weekly round. That's my weekly. You know, I need to think of a name for this segment because there's weekly watches, weekly roundup, weekly update. You'll see on the thumbnail which one I chose. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know. Drop me those likes. Let me know what you thought about all these films in the comments. Make sure you suggest to me what film you want me to watch. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure to do so because it always does help. But until next time, stay out of trouble.